In this week's GTA 5 o'clock, Rockstar respond to the GTA Online server problems, we get insight from IT experts, more on the UFO conspiracy, plus the hunt is on for the Sandy Shores serial killer mystery. It's another unmissable episode. It's this week's GTA 5 o'clock. Hello, welcome to GTA 5 o'clock. I'm Tim Weaver and I'm here with Dan Dawkins, who is fighting fit today, Dan.
Hello, yeah, I apologise in advance. I've got a cold and I don't feel very well.
So, a good start. Hopefully it's going to get progressively better from here. Dan, what are we talking about today?
Okay, we're going to be talking about, obviously, GTA Online launch and the various troubles therein and how Rockstar plan to fix it. We'll be talking about our live stream and our plans for the future. We'll be updating you on the Mount Chiliad UFO conspiracy, plus solving another side mystery that we initially believed to be linked to the UFO conspiracy, plus talking about other plans for the channel and probably hearing me blow my nose more.
Okay, so please do like this video, subscribe so you don't miss any of the other GTA videos we're doing, and there are plenty of them to discover, including, as Dan said, live plays, which you've been doing this week. You can follow us on Twitter at GTAVOclock, but there's really only one place to start this week, Dan, and that is the problems that Rockstar have had accommodating everyone who wants to play GTA Online.
Yeah, now it seemed ominous and in a way quite pragmatic and sensible that before GTA Online launched, Rockstar said we can expect effectively teething troubles. And for them to lay the ground, for them to say that, you obviously suspected that it may not go that rosy. And in fact, if you look at the history of all big online launches from SimCity recently, which is quite a debacle, to Diablo 3, which is also plagued with problems. And in fact, almost all major COD launches, well, up to a certain point, have had different teething problems. So given the scale and ambition of GTA Online, this was always inevitable. Perhaps what wasn't quite as expected was the scale of problems people have had, and certainly maybe this should have been expected because we've all read the internet in the last year, the vehemence and anger of people's upset. So, Tim, you've been collating people's tweets who couldn't play.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who couldn't play, obviously, and it's... Sorry, Dan, you want to say something there? There's a lot of people who couldn't play, so there's obviously a lot of tweets from very angry people. I've simply taken a couple of samples. A guy called Douglas R on Twitter said it's shocking. Rockstar should have had backup plans. Maybe they shouldn't have launched it at 12 midday, but maybe they should have snuck it out in the night sneakily. I'm not sure that would have solved any problems, but he was a kind of a sort of representative, I guess, of a lot of people's feelings. Trevor Hart controversially said Rockstar have turned into the Catholic Church, a money racket. So I'm not sure that's technically true because they're not really charging any other additional money for GTA Online, at least at this stage. But we know there will be micro transactions as we go on. What I thought was interesting was there are a couple of voices of reason in there. Tyler, who I don't know his second name, on Twitter said if GTA Online service worked flawlessly day one, it would have been one of the greatest IT accomplishments ever. Why does no one get this? And then, of course, there were the problems with it wiping single-player game saves, which a few people reported. In fact, a guy who has done some work for CMG in the past, called Chris Schilling, who we know quite well, said after 28 consecutive attempts to try and get a game and another corrupted single-player save, I think I'm done with GTA Online for now. So, he mentioned about the single-player, corrupting single-player saves. Off air this morning in the office, we had a discussion with another one of CMUG's army of writers, Ian Wilson, who has done a lot of the tips videos and stuff for us. He said that it is a problem. He's seen it himself. And as I went through Twitter and found more people, there are quite a few people who have had single-player game saves wiped trying to get onto the, trying to download the update for online. And what it seems to stem from is if you're not currently playing as Michael, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Dan, but if you're not currently playing as Michael in single player,
so it's like very, very early in the game when you're only Franklin, essentially.
Yeah, right. I think it's I don't know. Maybe people out there can report if they've had the problems. But I think, as I understand it now, I've read this morning, if you're not playing it as Michael, if your last save point in the game is not as Michael, then it wipes your game save. So be very, very careful out there. Obviously, Rockstar will get this fixed at some point, and probably soon. But it is worth noting that may be the case.
Well, I mean, I wanted to talk around some of that. I think Tim's captured the sentiment. A lot of people, various degrees of rage, have said to me the classic sentiment of, I am the customer, this is disgusting, Rockstar only care about money. They used to care about us guys, but now they're rich, they don't care about us anymore. And I really don't think that in the 2 weeks since GTA 5 launched, Rockstar used to be like a big caring company, then they made a load of money and went, do you know what? Screw those guys. Screw those servers. And clearly they would have done research into what they considered to be, based on pre-orders, the volume of people who own GTA 5 and the percentage of those they expected to be logging on to GTA Online. They would have had research stats. Now, for them, it will be a trading balance between, have we got enough working servers to, accommodate that? Yes, maybe we have. Maybe very quickly, and they said this themselves, by looking at the amount of people who'd activated Social Club, which you do in single-player GTA, to activate, things like the photo-taking ability and various different stats. I think they realised they had a problem in terms of the volume of people. Now, it could be that they just couldn't work fast enough to get the servers up and running. Bear in mind they're running it on 2 different formats as well. It's a hugely ambitious undertaking. And, to be completely frank, I'm not an IT expert or engineer, and in fact, Tim might be able to shed some light on this.
Yeah, I've got a couple of quotes. One appeared in The Guardian and one in the Mirror. The one in The Guardian is from a guy called Simon Barrett of UK studio Four Door Lemon, who I believe has some sort of expertise in this area. He says, it seems they've been trying to scale their hardware quickly to cope with the expected requirements based on their incredible sales. Even if they were using an existing server infrastructure provider, such as Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure, which is unlikely and their wording suggests not, they would probably need to be adding to their cloud server farms to support the numbers they're expecting. I think that's sort of fairly self-explanatory. Right. I think that the issue really is that at a conservative estimate, you're probably talking about 2 million people logging on at the same time yesterday.
Yeah.
And not being an expert in this kind of area of IT, I guess I'm talking as a layman really. But as I understand it, how do you cope with that level of demand? Do you punt out absolutely tons and tons of servers up front in order to cope with people coming online, and then run the risk of like 2 or 3 months down the line, when inevitably people start falling away a little bit, you're left with tons of servers at probably a quite extortionate cost that aren't being used? Or do you see what kind of demand there is up front, supply what the amount of servers that you think you're going to need, and then later on, as is probably the case now, add to it in order to cope with demand? It must be a difficult balance of Rockstar, because you don't want to waste money on infrastructure that you're not going to use in 2 or 3 months' time.
I think that the thing is, again, we all look at GTA 5 as, and it is a success story, a runaway success story. One of the most successful games, if not the most successful game of all time in its launch window. It's made 800 million in a week. But there was a stage where Rockstar would have been looking at it and gone, we've sunk 5 years of expensive development to this game. Costs for it range from anywhere between like $150 to $200 million, subject to how much they've spent on marketing. I suspect it's really close to the 200, if not more, because the marketing is ubiquitous, global and omnipresent. It's really expansive, and that would have been very expensive. So for them, they've got to make a business decision to say, well, what volume of service do we commit to this launch, given our estimates? And bearing in mind that traditionally, looking at every other game we've ever had, 1 month after launch, let's say the volume of activity drops by 100%, 200%. You've got to... It is a business. They're not a charity. They can't just provide infinite servers and run them and say, this is all great and it's fine, because that is exceedingly expensive. Yeah. And it's something, the same challenges that I guess Sony and Xbox have faced, where they've had to, to provide dedicated servers cost money. They've had to provide subscription services. GTA Online, effectively, I know there's microtransactions, right, and that is clear, but it's not. It's an optional thing, really, and they're not charging you for this thing. They've made GTA 5 one of the most ambitious games ever, and they're giving you this free, all-consuming online mode. The way people are reacting, it's like, again, Rockstar have broken into your house at night and stolen the family silver. That's a classic reaction on the internet, and I understand the frustration because I also spent like an hour or two last night trying to log in on my PS3 at home, trying to go in. I built my character 3 or 4 times. Every time I thought I'd got through, I got kicked out and had to start again. Yeah. So I fully understand it's frustrating, but some of the levels of again, classic entitlement culture, I do think are a bit hard to stomach.
Yeah. One other quote, just quickly, from Jonathan Wright, who's Vice President of Service Provider, a company called Interroute, who has some sort of expertise in the area, I suppose, although I must confess I've never heard of that company. Anyway, he says, inviting the world to play a game online is much more than a popularity contest. It is a test of whether the IT and network infrastructure can cope with an unexpected and almighty peak in popularity. Online gaming has been one of the chief accelerators of internet capacity. Though individual user capacity isn't massive, the sheer aggregation of users guzzles capacity and creates local problems as gamers log on across the globe at different times of the day. To enable 2 million people to play a game seamlessly at the same time, whilst ensuring minimal latency, will require a colossal amount of dedicated capacity in the right regions at the right time. It also puts pressure on the software code to be as network friendly as possible. So there's a lot of issues to take into consideration there. I mean, this is a kind of a new, it is a completely new game really for Rockstar. They haven't done anything anywhere close to as ambitious as this before, and we've seen that with companies with a lot of expertise in the area, Maxis and the people Blizzard and that kind of stuff. They've had problems and they've been doing this for years. So it's inevitable that there were going to be problems. I guess, were we expecting problems on this scale? Perhaps not. But I think there were inevitably going to be teething problems.
Yeah, and again, could it have been better handled or prepared for? Hypothetically, yes. Of course it could have gone smoother, but we really don't know what's gone on behind the scenes at Rockstar. I'm in no position to assess, was it really like some calamitous last-minute decision to make it go live? I very much doubt it. I'm sure they've been like really backs to the wall trying to finish single player, but as we knew, the GTA Online has been in planning since essentially the end of GTA 3 in terms of mental planning. So, again, logistically, they've got a finite resource. They'd have thrown everything at making GTA Online work, and I think they did the right thing and initially saying we're not going day one with the single player game, and that issue has actually almost been forgotten.
So have you got a list of the things there that Rockstar say is problematic at the moment?
Yeah, we've got a list of... They put this up very recently. In fact, as you listened probably like a few hours ago. What was conspicuous during launch day is that Rockstar didn't really say anything. Now, I think that was frustrating for a lot of people, but essentially, I guess they don't want to say certain things and then be proved wrong. They've got to genuinely look into it. So, yesterday, Rockstar Games, the at Rockstar Games account tweeted, for those trying to get into GTA Online today, please bear with us on some day one tech connection issues that we're working to stabilise ASAP. Please bear with me because I can't pronounce properly.
Yeah,
because my nose so full. Yeah, the Connecticans. And then the PlayStation account. And it's worth saying that, in fact, it seemed to be that more of the problems were reported on PS3 than 360.
Yeah.
Anecdotally, I've not got stats for that.
No, that seemed to that's what a lot of people were saying in the Twitter.
And again, in quite a sort of broad fashion, the @PlayStation account tweeted, Grand Theft Auto Online, we are aware that some users are experiencing issues and we are working with Rockstar Games to resolve, which again has no specifics, it's just a general statement of we are aware it's happening.
Yeah, pretty non-committal.
Now today, this was updated, it says 1 a.m. Eastern Time, 2nd of October, where Rockstar said, we are continuing to look into these issues and are working around the clock on resolving them as quickly as possible. This includes close monitoring of our support systems, forums, social media and in-game data to measure traffic along with community sentiment to ensure ongoing improvements to stability. Please stay tuned for details. Now they did list specific error messages people were going, so we'll run through some of these. First was occasional Rockstar Cloud servers unavailable error message. Second was freezing sometimes while loading intro to first race in GTA Online with waiting for other players on the screen. That's a very common bug, it seems. The first race doesn't really load. Then intermittent fail to host the GTA Online session error messages, which I suffered from. Then the race corona, which is the blue marker, occasionally not showing up for the first race. Again, linked to the first race. Errors saying timed out when matchmaking for compatible GTA Online session to join.
We had a lot of that when we went on yesterday.
Yeah, loads of it. Occasional errors about jobs failing to start or load. General issues with the social club site and social club features, for example, slow loading, failed logins, emails not arriving, etc. And it gives you an address for contacting the social club. It says miscellaneous network and server related error messages, disconnections or cloud server errors, and errors saying mission failed as soon as the mission begins during a session. So pretty sweeping.
Pretty numerous problems there. But I mean, they obviously haven't given any indication as to when these problems are going to be sorted out, because they don't want to commit to a date, understandably. But I think it's probably safe to assume, Dan, that they'll probably be on top of the majority of it by the end of today, I would think.
You'd hope. I don't know, is the truth.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to promise on their behalf, because it's not possible.
Oh, no. I mean, a lot of those issues there are I mean, I'm no programmer, but they seem like fixable problems. The bigger issues are stuff like how you deal with the fallout from people having their single player games wiped.
Yeah, that's really upsetting.
Yeah. I mean, especially for people who have got 70-80% of the way into the game, that's potentially game ending and game breaking.
Yeah, it would break me mentally, on top of my already physical ailment, to know that I had to replay 60 hours of it. As much as I love the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of playthrough.
Okay, so anything else on the online side of stuff?
Yeah, well, all I wanted to say is generally, if we move past these big issues, and let's face it, there really are a lot of them, we've forgotten to talk about, hey, GTA Online is great fun. We had great fun yesterday. You may have joined us on the CVG YouTube channel. Hopefully the subscription link will be on the screen. Hey, you're watching this on CVG's YouTube anyway, so of course you know that. But we did a launch party live stream yesterday where we sat and played, and I sat and got killed repeatedly whilst being ritually abused by people on the internet. Which
not by everyone, Dan. By everyone.
No, true. It was a good hashtag Team Dan backup plan. Thank you. You were the guys who were stopping me from completely going the full way into being ill after everyone else sapped my spirit.
A lot of people enjoyed as well, Dan, retrospectively, the Danish pastry gag, which I was very pleased with. Your performance was very flaky, shall we say?
That's really good, Tim.
Yeah.
And I will add, a man tweeted me, and he looked like he'd opened an account just to congratulate you.
Really?
Yeah, look that way,
good. That's good. Well, he's obviously a man of good taste.
Exactly. So he obviously couldn't fail to launch a new Twitter account just to say good joke.
Yeah.
It wasn't lost on me.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a good bit of fun. We were chit-chatting back and forth. It was great for everyone who joined us on the live stream. We are hoping to make, well, in fact we are making, GTA 5 o'clock live, like a new thread of programming for ourselves. We are going to be running live sessions, and in fact we're hosting one this Friday, which is, what's this Friday, Tim?
The 4th.
Friday the 4th, we will be hosting a live play 1 hour session at 4 p.m. British Standard Time, which I believe, what's that? Is that?
That'll be 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
And 8 a.m.?
8 a.m. Pacific Time.
8 a.m. Pacific Time, so hopefully, like, wherever you are in the world, you're either going to be, like, out of school or college, or maybe leaving work early, or waking up before. So hopefully it's a good time for everyone to be awake and join in. Please head to the CVG YouTube channel at that time, and we'll have a live feed up and running. We're not sure what we're going to tackle yet, but it'll be a lot of fun, and that will be a regular programming thread for us. What we want to do is get everyone who's part of our respective social crews, which is the GTA 5 o'clock main crew, which is, its tag is OCLK, and we've also got the GTA 5 o'clock Shadows unit, which I believe there's some spaces still in, and that is OCLS.
Yeah.
So join in, play with us. We're going to be broadcasting it like a TV show. So be there on Friday at 4 p.m.
Okay, so online is good, if problematic. Dan, something else that's pretty good in the world of GTA at the moment is the UFO conspiracy, which we raised last week. So the UFO conspiracy is gone down pretty well. One of the things we talked about last week was some of the writing on the wall talking about, was it the 8 I can't remember the exact quote. Anyway, we looped it in together with the GTA conspiracy, but actually they're two different conspiracies.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank everyone who's contributed to helping us solve the Mount Chiliad UFO conspiracy. We had an overwhelming response on the computerandvideogames.com website, and it did us almost literally like 1 million views last week.
Yeah.
From people like obsessed with finding out about it. There's loads of lovely emails and various things about it. Everyone in the world has been trying to solve the mystery with us. Now, cutting a long story short, I don't think in the last week we've made a conclusive breakthrough that proves that A, that the jetpack's definitely there, or B, that there's any existence of further UFOs. That is not to say there isn't, because if you look at the conditions that lead to the evidence we've got, they are quite weird things, like it's being in a certain platform at a certain time in a certain weather condition. So could it be we're just missing certain triggers? There's been some wonderful conspiracies sent to us, many of which involved and this is a mild spoiler, the unlockable sort of neon buggy you get from Omega. And that has 3 different horn sounds, which are all sort of vaguely spectral and supernatural and UFO-ish. Now, someone was saying that could each horn sound correlate to the sounds made by the 3 respective flying UFOs in the game? But it's possible, and I guess you could say, well, do I sound that horn at the time that I look at that vehicle? The big question mark would be, how do you fly a buggy to the outer stratosphere?
Yeah.
Which seemed like a major sticking point for me. But I like the line of thinking that led someone to that. But yeah, long story short, no major breakthrough. Lots of crumbs of evidence. Lots of exciting images from within Los Santos of Illuminati-style eyes and stars correlating to the Mount Chiliad mural. So it all feels like it's pointing in a certain direction, but we haven't cracked it yet. We're hoping to get, hey, Rockstar, if you're listening, help us believe, give us a clue.
Yeah.
Are we in fruitless pursuit of the impossible dream? We'll find out. But what we have solved, indirectly through looking at this, is what we believe to be part of the core conspiracy. And this is the search for the Infinite 8. And we initially thought this came from the UV light on the blueprint map. But there was a thing circling the prison with 9A and various different little clues and things written down. But what we found out now is that there's a character, again, mild spoiler alert, in Sandy Shores whose house has been burnt down. And on it says, like, Merle Abrams, you're a wrong 'un. Like, get out of our town or something to that effect. And it turns out it's a serial killer who was driven out of town, who was obsessed with the number 8. And you can track his path, like, up north of the Sandy Shores, and there's graffiti on the rocks. Again, as detailed, a little bit last week. And essentially what's happened is this guy has become obsessed with the number 8, committed 8 murders for which the bodies were not found, but he was taken to prison and convicted. Now, when you go to Block 9A in the prison, which is where we initially believed there'd be UFO evidence, there's writing on the yard wall where he essentially draws the location of the bodies.
Yeah.
And you can follow up to the north of Palito Bay and go diving underground, and people have actually found the bodies.
Yeah.
We did it ourselves, and we found only 5 bodies, which is weird. Now, if you want a fuller recap of this story, we've done a standalone video for this, which is only like 5-6 minutes long, done with me and James. Click on the screen now, and you can just watch it in a capsule thing, all self-contained with all the visual evidence. But yeah, you can dive down, you see the 5 guys, and then you realise there's a paper clipping hidden elsewhere in Sandy Shores, where it talks about Merle Abrams. He was convicted. He never really sort of confessed to the murders, but he did say he was obsessed with the number 8, died in prison, and all the people who were killed were like lone men jogging along on the mountains on their own. So, again, is there more to the conspiracy? Why the number 8? Why was he so obsessed with that? Is that part of something deeper? I don't know, but it's a little capsule mystery. It's great fun.
Yeah. And that is, of course, just to analyse, separate to the Leonora Johnson serial killer mystery.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so those are the 2 big things this week, Dan. Anything else?
No, just for me to blow my nose and say, thank you so much to everyone who's been watching the show and supporting us and watching all the videos on YouTube. We're probably at the end of our mission completion series. We've got collectible guides for the parts and for the letters. We've got a big series of Easter eggs. We've got Tim and I with our sort of playful Can we do this mission things like
and inevitably not.
Yeah, capture a train, get a group sex van, all those various different things. Those threads will be continuing, but as we say, from this Friday, 4 p.m. BST, we'll be doing more GTA Online live play, connection allowing. Please get involved. Please join in social club, like and subscribe, and all the usual stuff. I'm sorry, I'm sound so awful.
Not at all, Dan. In fact, quite husky and sexy. I'm sure the audience out there will agree.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed this week's show. Do put your comments down below or get in touch with us via Twitter, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.